Do me for hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
All right, welcome to another episode of Hold This L with your host, Lonnie and Cappel. What's going on, cuz? What's going on? We got a good one today. How you doing?
Man, what's going on, big bro, man? Not a lot, man. Chilling out, ready to dive into this show. Getting a little Thursday night football action in. Man, what's going on with you? What you been up to, bro?
Man, I honestly, nothing. You know, these days been pretty boring. I ain't been able to go to the movies. That's one of my favorite things to do. Go out, have some, go for dinner, go to a movie. Sometimes I just go to movies by myself. But me and my wife, we go to movies a lot. I ain't been able to do none of that because, well, hell, the movie's not open. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But
right.
I mean, just a lot of working and coming home and working and coming home. But nonetheless, I'm blessed. Everything good on my end. And I'm glad we got sports because that definitely helps the day pass, helps the time pass. College football done kicked up. We ain't really said much about that lately, but that's been actually passing my Saturdays, and
Yeah.
outside of that, football is pretty much I've been kind of happy, that I mean, I'm not happy that the COVID outbreaks happen, of course, but it has allowed us to have football on Tuesdays, in a couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
we had football on Saturday, then we had football on Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday. We got one day to rest on Wednesday, and then back at it on Thursday. So that
Love
that
it.
was good the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm good, man. Just ready to jump into this sports. That's all.
Let's do it, bro. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's go ahead and get kicked off. We're gonna talk about a little World Series. This has been a funny year, and we got the World Series happening right now. A lot of people not talking about it, at least in my circles and what I follow outside of just regular sports. Sports sites and on social media. But the World Series is actually happening right now, and we tied 1-1. The Los Angeles Dodgers, which is one of my squads. I'm a Yankees and the Dodgers fan to the heart, and the Tampa Bay Rays, which I said I wouldn't be surprised if they made it because they got a hell of a pitching staff, and they made it. And they have a very, very, very good team. They tied it up yesterday 1-1. What's your thoughts on the World Series, man?
Well, first and foremost, you were right on the money with Tampa Bay, bro. That pitching. I haven't watched the whole totality of both games, but I did watch the first one. Um, Didn't watch the second one in totality, but what I did realize in both games, pitching is going to be important.
Yeah,
Um, and even though game one, the Dodgers kind of lit. I can't remember old boy's name, but they kind of lit him up. But he started out well. I mean, he's a great pitcher. He just, sometimes you don't have your stuff. And Mookie
yeah,
Betts went off. Bellinger called him slipping. So but the second game, I think it was Blake Snell
yeah. He pitched
killed
real
it.
good.
He
Blake Snell,
killed it, bro.
yeah, he
Killed it.
did.
And I mean, he looked dominant. If you watched the first game of the World Series and how the Dodgers looked, and you come back and you watch how they look in game two, you would have thought that was a completely different team. And the only difference was Blake Snell. He pitched that great. So I'm impressed, man. I'm thinking it's gonna go seven. My initial pick was the Dodgers. I'm gonna stick with that. I will say I was a little disappointed. My grandmother was a big Braves fan. So even though I had the Dodgers as my pick to go to the World Series, I was actually kind of rooting for the Braves to get there with that. I will say I was a little disappointed. My grandmother was a big Braves fan. So even though I had the Dodgers as my pick to go to the World Series, I was actually kind of rooting for the Braves to get there. Big shout out to the Atlanta Braves. But no, that's pretty much it, man. I'm sticking with the Dodgers. I think it's going to go seven, but I think they're going to pull it out.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't think it's going seven. It is not because I'm a Dodgers fan. It's just I don't think Tampa Bay got enough firepower. They got a good three pitcher rotation with Tyler Glasnow, who pitched first, and then Blake Snell and Charlie Morton. And Charlie Morton is cool, but he's not a pitcher that can like really shut down the team like the Dodgers. They got too much firepower, and I'm not really sure why Walker Buehler didn't pitch. I'm thinking maybe because maybe it wasn't enough rest time between his last game that he
That was
pitched
a bad
against
move.
Atlanta, They went with like a bullpen day. You know, it was kind of like a bullpen day. And I think people expected them to lose. Day. You know, it was kind of like a bullpen day. And I think people expected them to lose. Most of the sites I follow, they had Tampa Bay winning that game, and it was simply because of the pitcher matchup. And Tampa Bay, they have a good hitting team. It just don't have like firepower from top to bottom. And so I wasn't surprised that Tampa Bay won that game. But I think moving forward, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm thinking Walker Buehler is probably going to be the pitcher that starts tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw pitched to Jim. Clayton Kershaw had some choke jobs, and of course, Clayton Kershaw is looked at by many people as the greatest, not one of the greatest, but the greatest pitcher of all time. But he's had some faults when it comes to playoff performances. And the game one of the World Series was not one of those, one of those faults. He pushed, and he came out. He did his job. So we got game 3 tomorrow. The Dodgers. It's not really a home game, but the Dodgers will be the home team. And hey, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm Dodgers all the way. I think it's gonna go 6. I don't think it's gonna go 7. Wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it actually will go 7. Anyways, so that's our baseball news. We're going to jump right into it because we are in the meat of football season. And even though it's the World Series, football always ranks king during this time. So before we jump into our fantasy, our fantasy analysis and give y'all the good picks for the week, we got some news, some football news. What's the news we got today? My mind just went blank. Oh yeah.
Tua
Tagovailoa. The Dolphins. Yes. Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be Tua Tagovailoa is going to be this new starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. And you might ask yourself why. If you haven't been keeping up with football, you probably would assume, well, heck, that was coming because the Dolphins suck. Well, you know what? We can say the Dolphins suck, but they 3-3. They second placed in the AFC East. And it's not like Buffalo has a commanding lead. Buffalo is first place. They're 4-2. I mean, nobody really understands why Ryan Fitzpatrick was replaced. We know that this is Tua's team. We know that he's the future of this team. But usually in these situations, they'll start the quarterback who's been there or who's there the year before, and that quarterback will suck. And then they'll bring him in, after 6, 7, 8 games, no playoff contention. All right, let's go ahead and get some reps in. You have no pressure on you. Just play. Get your feet wet. Learn the system. Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing well. Like, it's not just that they're 3-3. He's throwing the ball well. He's had several 300-yard games. He's had several 3 or more touchdown games. He hasn't been throwing interceptions. He's made good decisions with the football. The defense is not half bad. They're not great, but they're not half bad. They look good, for 6 weeks into the season.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, after a win that was a no contest against the Jets, the Dolphins announced that this is his last game starting. Tua will be the starter. I'm confused, man. I don't understand.
The more and more I thought about it, initially it didn't make any sense to me. But I was actually watching, leading up to the game, watching, Thursday Night Football, Thursday Night Countdown or whatever. And they kind of made it, actually watching, leading up to the game, watching, Thursday Night Football, Thursday Night Countdown or whatever. And they kind of made a good point to me. First of all, I think it was already planned. I think no matter what happened or what Fitzpatrick did, he was coming in after the bye week. I think that's one thing that was already settled, regardless of what Fitzpatrick did, unless he just came out and went 6-0, But what they were talking about is the fact that we do talk about Fitz magic. There's a reason that is a statement, because as well as he's played these last couple of games, it is a very strong possibility he can come out and dud the next 2. So with them being on a roll. No, I'm just saying. Just hear me out. Hear me out. With them being on a roll, we might actually be able to make a run and go to the playoffs. Let's get him in there. He's actually the better quarterback. I think from this point on in the season to the end, if you had to ask me who would throw the least amount of interceptions and make the most mistakes out of Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua, I would say it would be probably Fitzpatrick. He's known for doing it. It's just the MO. So I feel like putting this rookie in and knowing the skill set that he has, being 3-3, they actually could probably put him in and make a run. I think he's that good. And that's why I think that's where I'm looking at maybe why they made the move.
So is that your analysis, or was that the analysis from when you watched on Thursday?
No, it was it was what I watched, but I also agree with the analysis as to why they could do that, because I do truly believe that Tua could come in and still be successful with this team.
It's possible that he may come in and be successful side, and the front office is going with that. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Well, the only reason
I think that's ridiculous is because you right. Ryan Fitzpatrick does have a reputation to like start off playing well or play well in certain spurts or whatever. But as a team, the Miami Dolphins, their expectations was not to make it to the Super Bowl. Their expectation was to get better, and they are doing that. You know, Ryan, you go off the sample size that you have. If you really look at Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback of that team, last year they started off really, really bad. He didn't start off as the quarterback. He came in later. And before the end of the year, he was playing really well. So if you count the last few games of the season, like the second half of the season, and then you add it on to this, he's playing really well. So you let Tua learn. You give him that opportunity to pick up and watch. You know, now he's being thrust into expectations. If you put him to this, he's playing really well. So you let Tua learn. You give him that opportunity to pick up and watch. You know, now he's being thrust into expectations. If you put him in with no expectations because they don't have any playoff hopes, then he's playing free. He can make mistakes. He can afford to not be great or really good because it's the end of the season, or your season is pretty much done because you don't have any chance to make the playoffs. Like you come in at 1-7 or 0-8 or something like that, and you can afford to make mistakes without criticism. But now you come in with expectations because you're 3-3. You're in second place. You're one game out of first place in your division, and not to mention that you could have started the year off without people having film on you. You could have played well. You could have adjusted. You coming in with players at game speed, but you not because you haven't been playing full games. You just been practicing. You hadn't been. For that logic, I think that's just misguided, and I think it's poor leadership to do that to him.
I mean, I honestly, like I will go back to, I think it was the plan from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it was their plan from the beginning, regardless. And like I say, and this goes back to what I said about Fitzpatrick. Like I say, they're not 4-2 or 5-1. They 3-3. The 3 games they won, he played great. The 3 games they lost, he looked like trash. That's what I mean by you don't know what you're gonna get. So let's just put him in. We were planning to put him in anyway. And Fitzpatrick, although he has played well in 3 out of our 6 games, he hadn't shown us enough to change our mind from what our initial plan was to put Tua in after the bye week anyway. Yeah, he's played well the last couple of weeks, but he hasn't given us enough over the totality of 6 games to change our plan that we already put in place. And I think I'm thinking that's more or less where it's coming from.
I don't know. It could be. You could be right on that. That could have been the reason why they decided to do that. I still think that's. I don't think that's a smart way to create a plan. I think you have to be ready to adjust. Your plan could be, okay, let's plan to play them after the bye week, you know. But hey, if we're playing well, we can adjust that plan. Or if we feel like we have a chance to, can make the playoffs, let's adjust that plan. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, the decision is made already. And we gonna rock with that. I don't know if he actually played terrible in all the games that they lost, because
I
the
think
three
he
games
played
that they
well
lost,
in one.
it was one game I think he played bad this whole year, and that's the first game against the Patriots. Because against the Bills, they lost to 2 TDs, and then the game against the Seahawks, they had them on the ropes, and he didn't throw no touchdowns. He threw 2 interceptions, but he threw for 315. I mean, I feel like he's actually been one of. If you look at statistics, he's probably a top 10 QB. To be completely honest, like if you look at stats, you talking about as far as
But go
yards and stuff
look
like
at his
that.
look at his touchdown to interception ratio.
I mean, I don't think I can't. I don't have that up right now. But
It's very
if I'm looking
close.
at the
It's
first
like
game, he has no interceptions. The first game, second game, no interceptions. Third game against the Jaguars, he has 1 interception. The against the Seahawks, he has 2 interceptions. Against the 49ers, 1 interception, and against the Jets, he has 2 interceptions. So yeah, he got about 5 interceptions. That's probably not great. So his touchdown to TD ratio is probably not great. I'm not gonna say that is great. It was like maybe about 5.
it's 10-7 touchdown to
Yes.
interception ratio. 10 touchdowns to
So
7 interceptions.
that's not great, but that's also not benchable.
No, I'm not saying it's benchable. Let's be clear. I agree with you. I think they should have set 2 out and let him learn a little bit more behind Fitzpatrick. But if that was already your plan, Fitzpatrick had my argument is Fitzpatrick hadn't done enough to make you change it.
I feel that. Yeah.
You know, you if you were already coming into this season saying, look, we're gonna let Tua sit for the first half, make sure he's healthy, make sure he's ready to go, let him sit half of the season learning behind Ryan, and after the bye week, we're gonna get him them first team reps and we're gonna let him start. If that was already your plan, Ryan Fitzpatrick hadn't done anything to say we need to pump the brakes on that.
Got you. I got you. All right, so let's move
On that.
Got you. I got you. All right, so let's move on. Just real quick, some news that could make a difference in this season. Dez Bryant is expected to sign with the Baltimore Ravens to the practice squad, not to the roster to actually be on the field coming up, but the practice squad. I'm sure they want to see what he got. He ain't played in a while. But it's Dez Bryant, big name, big news. So we keep your eyes out for that. And Antonio Brown will be eligible to play after Week 8. His suspension will be up. And the news is that Seattle is interested in him, and he is interested in Seattle. It's one of the teams that he's interested in. Can you imagine this roster?
That wouldn't, bro. And I think Russell Wilson was
Wait,
lobbying
hold
for him at the
on.
beginning of the year.
Russell Wilson as the quarterback. Then you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Antonio Brown. Then you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Antonio Brown, and this is the one that people forgetting about. They still have Josh Gordon, who should be coming off suspension soon. What if they roll out with those 4 guys? Josh Gordon is not what he was when he was like looked at as possibly being a future superstar. But as your 4th receiver, he's still built the same. He's still fast. Like that'll be crazy. And then you got Greg Olsen as your tight end and Chris Carson as your running back. I mean, just thinking about the possibility of we don't have any idea how this is gonna go. But it's news. It's something to be paying attention to. But go ahead. What you was about to say?
No, I think it's really important news because I wasn't really saying anything, but Russell Wilson been lobbying for him since the beginning of the season. Russell Wilson been saying he wanted AB to come play with them. So I'm
at the same division, the same conference. I would love to see Russell Wilson throwing an AB. I ain't gonna lie. That makes some good football.
oh
for
man,
real.
beautiful.
So let's get it going. Let's get it going with this fantasy. I know people that's listening, they ready for these picks. We went a little longer than anticipated, but it was a good conversation. Always good when we talk about sports, right? Let's start off with the Saints and the Carolina Panthers. That is the first game for our lineup for fantasy today. Oh, before we get started, I do want to say that my analysis, my picks will be coming off of DraftKings scoring. I have switched over. I have moved over to the dark side. Me and FanDuel, we not seeing eye to eye right now, and it's not about the actual play. It's about their management. I'm gonna leave it at that. So I am team DraftKings, but Lonnie is still team FanDuel. So now you get the best of both worlds. You get their management. I'm gonna leave it at that. So I am team DraftKings, but Lonnie is still team FanDuel. So now you get the best of both worlds. You get analysis for both, because if you play both, you can't go with the same strategy. One is a half point PPR, one is a full point PPR, and then the point score. I mean, the DraftKings is like 50 what $50,000 to spend, and FanDuel I think is like 65 or 66 or something like that. So the pricing is different, the point scoring is different. You get bonuses in DraftKings, so your strategy got to be different. So you're gonna get a little bit of both worlds. So hopefully that will help you out as you think about your lineups. With that being said, what do you like with Carolina this week?
Um, with the Saints defense, man, I like Mike Davis. Mike Davis is somebody on any I mean, as far as Teddy, I mean Teddy's been playing well, but fantasy wise, I think in this game I would like to stay away from him. So I mean, I'm really not liking anybody but Mike Davis for the Panthers. That's it, man.
Yeah, if you like storylines, Teddy Bridgewater going back to play for New Orleans, a team that gave him a shot after he was cut by the Vikings and pretty much helped him revive his career. If you like storylines, then you can play that. Outside of storylines, I don't like anybody from the Panthers. Mike Davis is a good play simply because he's playing a McCaffrey role, but he's not the best play. They got a lot of good plays at running back that I'd rather hype myself up on. So I'm with you with Carolina. The Saints, Kamara, all day. Now I do worry a little bit because he's priced up with Michael Thomas coming back. That's what I'm talking about. That's the worry. Some of the targets may go away because he was getting targeted back. That's what I'm talking about. That's the worry. Some of the targets may go away because he was getting targeted like crazy while Michael Thomas was out. And while Kamara is still going to get targeted heavily, Michael Thomas will cut into that because Breeze and Thomas connection is like no other when it comes to quarterback wide receiver. But I like Kamara. I like Michael Thomas. That's it for the Saints. Anything you got?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that a lot. A lot, actually. I actually like a stack. He kind of emerged a little bit, and I think even having Michael Thomas back will even help him a little bit more. But I like the stack of Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
Not to mention Drew Brees, because I mean, naming all three of those guys, he would obviously probably most likely have to have a good game also. But fantasy wise, that depends on if Kamara rushed for a couple of touchdowns, because you could throw for 315 yards and no touch. As far as that stack of Emmanuel Sanders, which I know he's going to be cheap to go along with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, I could see that stack doing something well against those Panthers.
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought up Emmanuel Sanders, and I missed him, and I'm glad you brought him up. He's a good leverage play. Like if you don't really want to stack this game, but you want to go, but you like this game, he's a good leverage play to Michael Thomas, and he's gonna be low percentage on. Like Michael Thomas may be higher on percentage on. I don't really know what the numbers are on him just yet, but he will be the more targeted play for that game. Emmanuel Sanders was targeted heavily the last two games by Breeze. And that was probably best for that team because if you notice the first couple of games, he wasn't targeted much. That had a lot to do with chemistry. Now they got chemistry. So his target share, while it won't be 12, 13 targets or whatever, maybe about 6 or 7. And for Emmanuel Sanders, that could be 70 yards and a touchdown. And his price is much better than much lower than Michael Thomas. So he may not be a bad leverage play. Next game, Buffalo, New York Giants. We don't really need to waste too much time on this. I don't like this game too much, to be honest with you. I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm going to leave the juicy stuff to you with Buffalo. The Jets, nobody at all. I don't even like Perriman, I say Perriman. I meant to say Crowley because Rashard Perriman is back, and he actually didn't have a terrible game. He had a decent amount of targets against the Dolphins. I don't like Crowder, and the reason why is because Perriman's back. That's where I was going with that. So they don't have to target Crowder as heavily as they were because Rashard Perriman is about as good as a wide receiver as Crowley, to be completely honest with you. Like, Crowley was getting targeted a lot and had these monster games, but he's not a top-notch wide receiver. He's just all that the Jets had. Now they got Perriman back. They can spread it out a little bit more. So I don't like either one of them. So I don't like anything from the Jets.
No, absolutely not. And to be honest with you, I don't.
They got Perriman back. They can spread it out a little bit more. So I don't like either one of them. So I don't like anything from the Jets.
No, absolutely not. And to be honest with you, I don't like a whole lot from the Bills. I mean, I can see a stack. I mean, it's the Jets, obviously. So I can see a stack with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and possibly Cole Beasley. I like that stack. That's who I like for that game. That's pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. The Buffalo Bills. You look at that game, you say, "Well, why you don't like any Bills?" It's because they're gonna crush the Jets, and I could see a scenario where they don't even finish the game because they're beating them that bad. Like Josh Allen, he may have a good 30 points. You know, Josh Allen's been playing well, and I could see him like putting up points real early. But I don't want to play that game because, you know, if they go 3 quarters and they're beating and they're winning like 34, 35 to 10, then Josh Allen is not going to play much more. If he is playing, he's not going to or Moss or Yeldon. So I prefer to just kind of stay away from the game. We got we have much better options. For instance, Detroit versus Atlanta. This is a good game to target. For me in Atlanta, it's easy to play Atlanta because you know who to play. It's not a guessing game. You play Matt Ryan at quarterback because he's going to throw the ball down the field. You play Julio Jones or Ridley, or you play Gurley. And this is a game where you can play Gurley because they're playing against a team that does not do well against the run. And Gurley's been getting targets. He's been getting a lot of high. He's been getting high usage is what I meant to say. He's getting high usage. He's getting 18, 19, 20 rushes on top of 3 to 6 targets per game. You know, so he didn't have the greatest game against Minnesota, but Minnesota does not really. They don't play bad against the run. You know, so he has the opportunity to have a good game. I like him in this game, but I don't love him in this game. Who I love is Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. So I like that as a stack, but that's an expensive stack. So I probably won't stack all 3, but I like Julio Jones more than Calvin Ridley. I was watching Julio Jones looked like he was a man on a mission last week against the Vikings, and I don't feel like that's gonna stop.
Right. I agree with you 100%, bro. I was gonna say I'm all in on Matt Ryan and Julio Jones this week. I think, last week, I have him in some of my year-long fantasy, but he had 33 as far as 1 point PPR go, a little less than half point PPR. I think this is a 35, 40 point week. I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to be even better.
Julio Jones, he definitely has a lot of upside. He's 7,100 on DraftKings, which is he definitely has a lot of upside. He's 7,100 on DraftKings, which is a very good price for him.
He always has one of them 40-point weeks throughout the season. He always does. I think this is the week. I think this is it.
And just to give you some background on these stats, Todd Gurley against Detroit. Detroit is the 32nd ranked defense against the run. So there you go. I mean, I just really like I really like Todd. I like Todd Gurley. I don't love him because there's some other people that I love. And then Detroit is also 26. But we didn't talk about Detroit. I just don't like Detroit because I don't like the way Stafford is throwing the ball. I don't like the run game because they have Kerryon Johnson, Adrian Peterson, and DeAndre Swift. Swift had a great game, but he just happened to have a great game, not because he's the featured back. He had 15 rushes. So did Adrian Peterson. Kerryon Johnson ran the ball backs. I will play Swift. So if I stack this game with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, I'm running it back with DeAndre Swift, not because of his rushing ability, because he's the passing back. He'll be the one in the game if the Falcons get up big or if the Lions need to put the ball in the air. DeAndre Swift will be the one in the game getting those opportunities to receive the ball. But outside of DeAndre Swift, I don't like any other backs. I like Kenny Galladay. I do like Kenny Galladay because you can pass the ball against Atlanta. people don't run the ball well against Atlanta, so that's another reason why I don't like any of the running backs. But DeAndre Swift is a pass catcher out the backfield, and he does it very well. Anybody you like for the Lions?
Yeah, I actually like. I like stack with Stafford, Galladay, and also Hawkinson. I like that stack against the Falcons. That's something I like.
Yeah, Hawkinson just ain't been doing it for me. They've had several good matchups, done it for me at all, and his price does not reflect how bad he's playing.
He just seems to
still,
score every week. He don't get a lot of
but
targets,
that's
but he
it.
seems to get in the end zone every week.
But that end zone score is not enough because he's been getting you like 9 points. If you got a score and you got 9 points, that means you suck that day. And that's pretty much what the most he's been giving you is like 9 or 10 points. I personally don't like him. I'm not saying he's gonna be a good
against
player
the Falcons
because he may play well.
Yeah,
They've had better matchups. They had better matchups like Jacksonville last week. They suck against the tight end. But anyways, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Who you like for? You know what? You choose. Which one you want to give us analysis for?
man, Cleveland Cincinnati game. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Cincinnati, and I don't know if Joe Mixon is healthy. So besides Joe Mixon, I don't really like anybody. To be honest with you, fantasy wise, I mean Joe Mixon is the only person I consider.
I don't like because he's not 100%. I would love Joe Mixon if he was playing, but I like Burrow in this game. What I don't like is having to choose between Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and AJ Green because AJ Green is cheap. He had 11 targets the other day, and he had 8 catches for 96 yards. Then you look at T. Higgins, who I feel has the most upside. He killed it. He had 8 catches for 125 yards on 8 targets. He caught all of his targets. Now, Tyler Boyd was a little quiet, but he had 8 targets as well, and he had 54 yards on 5 catches with a touchdown, which still wasn't bad. He had 12 fantasy points. So, no, I'm sorry, he didn't have a touchdown, my bad. But he had 5 catches for 54 yards. Joe Burrow had a really good game against Cleveland the first time, and he's better. He's more experienced. So, they're cheap. Tyler Boyd is 54. T. Higgins is 53. AJ Green is 43. I can see me. Tyler Boyd is 54. T. Higgins is 53. AJ Green is 43. I can see me running maybe 2 or 3 lineups with a stack of Burrow, Higgins, and Boyd. Burrow, Higgins, and Green. Burrow, Green, and Boyd. Just to make sure that I get the totality of it, because those are the people he's throwing it to, and Burrow is throwing the ball. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I kind of like this. I kind of like this team with Cleveland. I love Kareem Hunt. I absolutely love Kareem Hunt this game against Cincinnati. I'm going to have a lot of Kareem Hunt. But what I don't know is about anybody else. When I stack this game, I'm definitely stacking with Kareem Hunt. I will play some OBJ simply because I'm going with the narrative of them trying to prove the world wrong. Baker Mayfield's been in the news all week because of how bad his play is. Even though their record is not terrible, they're still in the hunt. They're not like 0-6. People are still criticizing him, and of course, who's going to be the recipient of the ball? OBJ, because he's been a part of that. People talking about he should be traded or he should be asking for a trade. Talking about what place he should go. So that usually motivates a team to like, hey, let's get him the ball. Let's do this. Let's do that. So I don't mind OBJ. Plus he had a good game against them. So Kareem Hunt, OBJ. Outside of that, I don't like anybody else for Cleveland. Definitely not playing Baker Mayfield.
I got Kareem Hunt, bro. I got Kareem Hunt, and that's it. I will say this about the Bengals. I would love everything you said if Joe Mixon was healthy.
I think so,
and not allowing that team to tee off on Joe Burrow and having to respect the run. If you don't have to respect the run, that team to tee off on Joe Burrow and having to respect the run. If you don't have to respect the run, I think that's a problem for a rookie. Now,
so I agree with you, but that's really didn't have much impact on the first game. That's the only reason why I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
I still agree with you, and I still think I honestly think Mixon gonna play. So what I mean by Mixon not being healthy, as far as me agreeing with you, that means if he's not on the field.
Yeah.
If he's on the field, I think you dead on. because you got to respect him if he's on the field. And if he's on that field, yeah, I think Burrow gonna light them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were that cheap, bro. That makes a big difference.
I mean,
when
are they that
cost
cheap on FanDuel?
Man, I gotta go check and see.
Yeah, because see, those prices was DraftKings, so they may be, they probably not too much. Boyd is probably more, but I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Green is still absolutely love. I think this game is like a 57-point total. Green Bay at Houston. I think this is gonna be a shutout. I think the world really realized that Green Bay's defense is not that good. They have had a cupcake schedule outside of playing Tampa Bay's defense last week. Tampa's defense exposed them. I ain't gonna say expose them. It didn't expose them. Rodgers just had a bad game. I think if they were to play again next week, Rodgers will have a much better game. But their Tampa Bay's offense exposed Green Bay because Green Bay actually had decent numbers offensively. But when you really looked at the competition, they played Minnesota, they played the Falcons, they played the Saints. The Saints' defense has not played well right now. So when you look at the teams they've played, all those teams have given up points. And they finally played a defense that's actually ranked pretty high, and that was Tampa Bay. But guess what? They playing another defense that give up points, and that's Houston.
Yeah.
And both of these teams giving up points. And they finally played a defense that's actually ranked pretty high, and that was Tampa Bay. But guess what? They playing another defense that give up points, and that's Houston.
Yeah.
And both of these teams are not going to be able to stop each other. So I'm all over this game. I will be stacking the crap out of it, to be honest with you. But let's go with Green Bay. Who you like, man?
Man, I mean, you got to stack this game all day. To me, I got three players that I like a lot. I think Aaron Jones gonna have a bounce back game from last week. It was kind of rough. Aaron Rodgers, I think he is gonna absolutely murder it, and so is man. Why I was about to say Devontae Parker. Help me out with that one, bro.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. I think the two of them, they kill it. I could see Devontae Adams with one of them 125, 130, and 2 touchdown games. I see that type of game coming from him this week. So, man, I am very, very high on the Packers, bro. Like I say, this is one of them games you stack.
Yeah.
You try to get as many players in this game as you can.
Yeah. I mean, I love this game. The only thing I hate about it is that one side is so affordable to play and the other side is not. And Green Bay is not because Aaron Rodgers costs a lot, which I love Aaron Rodgers this week, but I don't love him to play because I like better plays. Like, for example, I like Deshaun Watson better than Aaron Rodgers because why Deshaun Watson is probably going to get some yards on the ground. And he's a little bit cheaper, just $200, not much. But I like Will Fuller better than I like Devontae Adams because Will Fuller has been getting targeted just as much and he's been producing the last 2 or 3 weeks. But guess who else I really like? Brandon Cooks. On DraftKings, Brandon Cooks is $5,000. He's completely underpriced. I don't know why his price hasn't gone up. Not last game, but the game before when he had like 160-something yards and a touchdown, he was only $4,000. Then he went up to $5,000. Had another good game, didn't go up. He's still $5,000, and he got targeted several. Like he got 8 to 10. I think he got 10 targets. So why Brandon Cooks is so cheap, I don't know. And then David Johnson, he's actually playing a little bit better since Romeo Crennel took over. He's still getting an amazing amount of carries. He got 19 to 20 carries, and matter of fact, let me look it up. David Johnson got 19. I think he got 19 carries. Come on, David. Pull up. Hurry up. There you go. So David Johnson had 19 carries, and he was targeted only 2 times. But before that, he was targeted 4, then 3, then 3, then 4, then 4. He had a touchdown last game. He had 13. He hasn't really had a great game, but you can't help but like the volume that he's getting. And he's going against a team that does not stop the run. They're 29th against the run. Like, how can you pass that up? So I like Houston. I like Brandon Cooks. I like David Johnson. I like Deshaun Watson. And I like Will Fuller. And I don't know how I'm going to play all of them. But on Green Bay, I like Aaron Jones more than anybody on Green Bay. I like Devontae Adams, but he's priced up, and they have some really good wide receiver plays on this slate. And I like Aaron Rodgers, but he's also priced up, and I think they have better plays on this slate. Whew, man, we breezing through. At least I feel like we are. Next game, Dallas and Washington. Talk about them Dallas Cowboys. Pay Dak his money, even with him being hurt. Clearly, you see the difference in game, Dallas and Washington. Talk about them Dallas Cowboys. Pay Dak his money, even with him being hurt. Clearly, you see the difference in what type of quarterback he is. I don't care that they're not winning games. It's the defense. It's not Dak Prescott. With that being said, I'm not touching Andy Dalton. I'm not touching any of the Cowboys. I'm not touching Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not touching none of them.
I'm not touching this game, period.
Yeah.
I don't want to have no shares of anybody in it. You know how much I love CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching him. I'm not touching nobody. I don't. If anybody, and he would literally have to be $7,000, which I know he is not. Would be Zeke Elliott, and he would literally have to be in the sevens, which he is not. He's 9,500. There's no way I'd even come close to those.
9,500. That's ridiculous. The boy, it doesn't really make sense as to why he's 9,500 if you look at it. Anyways, I'm not even gonna get into that. Washington, I like a little bit of Washington because they playing the Cowboys. I mean, nobody has had a bad game. You can say maybe the Giants, but outside of the Giants, nobody's had a bad game against the Cowboys. And I can see McLaurin going off. I can see him going off because he gets a ton of volume. He gets a ton of targets. But outside of him, maybe Gibson, but probably not. I tell you this, if you're looking for some low percentage owned plays against a terrible offense, against a terrible defense, you can stack Kyle Allen, Antonio Gibson, and McLaurin, or stack Kyle Allen and McLaurin, and that may be a lineup that pays off, a stack that pays off. But I'm not gonna have too much of it. What about you?
Yeah, no, I can't feel it. The only person I would even recommend, I like what you said about McLaurin and all that, but I have no faith in Kyle Allen. But one thing I did notice last week watching that game, he liked Logan Thomas. I think he popped up on the injury report, but if Logan Thomas is healthy, I like Logan Thomas maybe as a play against the Cowboys this week for sure.
It's a good play. I like that. Pittsburgh, Tennessee. This is going to be a really good game in general. I don't know how much I like this game in fantasy. I like a little bit of Pittsburgh because Tennessee's defense is just not a good defense this year. They've allowed everybody to pull up points. So I got this sneaky suspicion that Juju is going to kill it this week. He has not been a part of this offense. And as a coach who, this was supposed to be Juju's year. Last year was supposed to be his year, but Roethlisberger got hurt. And this is supposed to be his year. And great, you got Chris or Claypool, whatever his first name is. But you forgot about Juju. Like, I feel like you have to make a concentrated effort to get him the ball. This is just a speculation, a gut feeling, but I feel like Juju is a major play. I think I'm going to have a good chunk of him. Plus, he's cheap. He's dropped in price. And, I just got this feeling about I think it's going to be a great game just in general. I don't like any Tennessee Titans because the Pittsburgh defense is real. And I don't like any Pittsburgh Steelers because it's hard to play them. Connor, there's better plays. He's he's a higher running back, and Tennessee's run defense is not terrible. But I don't know. Maybe you got something. I don't really have too much in this game.
Man, I don't have a whole lot in this game either. I like James Conner a little bit. I kind of like both running backs. I think it's going to be a battle of the running backs kind of. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be I think that I can see this being a lot of field goals, but I can see a lot of red zone touches where you get to that in that 5 yard, within that 5 yard line, and I can see Derrick Henry and James Conner both getting in the end zone. So if you're looking for something like that, but like I say, I'm not real excited about this game because for what they both cost, I'm not real, but bro, Derrick Henry. I'm not real excited about this game because for what they both cost. I'm not real, but bro, Derrick Henry. I don't know, man. I don't
So
know. To me, it don't matter who he playing, bro. It's just a matter of it. Man,
this game, I don't like Derrick Henry, and I got him in my regular fantasy league, and I hope he has a good game, but I won't have a lot of shares of him because DraftKings is a PPR site, full point, and he's not catching the ball that much out the backfield. For FanDuel, it's not a bad play because it's a half point PPR. So if you think that Derrick Henry could get to 100 yards or close to it and have one or two scores, well, I ain't gonna say one or two scores and 100 yards, then yeah, he's a great play. But I can't do it. He playing against too good of a defense. Pittsburgh is ranked second against running backs, and I know he's Derrick Henry, but he's $7,500.
as far as FanDuel, he's 8,900.
I don't know if I could do that either if I was playing FanDuel.
It'll be tough. But the crazy thing is Ezekiel Elliott and Kamara. Kamara obviously, but Zeke Elliott is $600 more than Derrick Henry.
That's ridiculous. I just don't understand why.
I don't care what defense you're playing against. How is Zeke Elliott $600 more than Derrick Henry?
I watched Zeke Elliott kill it for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns because we talking about him.
Yeah,
and
I doubt it.
And you know what? I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose that because he ain't gonna be in probably none of my lineups.
Yeah, me either.
Tampa Bay and the Las Vegas Raiders, they were added to this slate. They originally were not a part of this slate because they were originally the Sunday night game.
Mm-hmm.
But now they are I don't know why they were moved, but they were. So hey, did we have a Sunday night game? Yeah, they moved Seattle and Arizona. Well, I like that game better anyway. Defense and the Raiders, I don't too much like any I don't like the way they play against good defenses when it comes to fantasy. And then the only person for Tampa Bay that I may play is Gronk, because I'm wondering how much of that was just an isolated game or him getting his feet, getting back to it, getting used to playing football again. It may have taken a few, these 5-6 games for him to get back into it because he had a really good game against Green Bay. Again, that could have been Green Bay's defense because they are terrible. But I may have some shares of him because it's not like the Vegas defense is great either, So outside of that, I don't know. I probably won't play too many Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I really don't like a lot of people in this game at all. If anything, I'm going to go ahead and jump on the Raiders. Guard Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller. Even maybe Hunter Renfrow is a cheap play, but other than that, I'm not real high on this game. I think I will say this. I will throw in, it's coming. I don't know if it's gonna be this week, but in the coming weeks, within this week or next week, I'm gonna call it Chris Godwin's gonna have a big game.
I definitely see that. I can see that this week.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be this week or next week. It's gonna happen. And after last week, getting his feet acclimated, getting back acclimated.
You can't call 2 weeks. You got to call one. You got to choose. Is it gonna be this week or is it gonna be next week?
It'll be this week with a hobble, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Coming into this week, I see it being this week with him getting the game and getting that gameplay under him, game speed, and getting back in the groove. I see it being this week.
Cool. We'll talk about
getting the game and getting that gameplay under him, game speed, and getting back in the groove. I see it being this week.
Cool. We'll talk about it next week. We'll see how that goes. San Francisco, New England. I don't like nothing in this game. Nothing.
I do.
I'm sure you do. You have a hard time separating your bias from your team.
No,
but go ahead.
No, because last week, correct me if I'm wrong, every person I picked off my team that I was supposedly biased about.
Who they play?
It doesn't matter. I said they would all kill it. But you told me that was a little. Didn't you say that was a little bit of
kill it? They didn't all kill it.
The ones I picked did. George Kittle
George Kittle killed
Debo Samuel.
it. Debo had 18. That's not killing it. He had a good game.
Come on, man. For what he's been doing,
He had
he
6
was
catches
cheap.
for 66 yards and a touchdown. That's not killing it.
And he had 2 rushes for how many? Another 30?
No. He had 1 rush for -6 yards.
There's no way.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, they were receptions. They were receptions because they were tosses up front. My bad.
He had a
My
good
bad.
game. He didn't kill it. He had a good game.
I felt in my mind he killed it for his price. For his price, he killed it. Nobody was on Debo Samuel. And I called it. Kittle played well. Mostert obviously got hurt. But the 2 people I picked did well.
They did.
And I think those 2 will do well again this week.
So I don't think Kittle's going to do well against the Patriots simply because that's what Bill Belichick does. He takes away your best person. And Debo, I can see him having a good game because I feel like Garoppolo's going to go. Debo, I can see him having a good game because I feel like Garoppolo's going to go somewhere else because they're going to clearly take away Kittle. Doesn't mean he's not going to have a good game because anything is possible. But I definitely don't feel comfortable paying up for Kittle against a New England Patriots team, against a defensive mind like Belichick, who's known to do that. But you can run your money out there if you want to.
Oh,
Go ahead.
You know I will.
Go ahead.
That stack of people I was talking to you about toward the end of the show. We're gonna talk a little bit about what they did for me this week. That the Debo Samuel and George
we don't
Kittle
have
and,
to. We don't have. Well, see, that was also in the showdown. That wasn't in the main slate. Anyways, let's keep going because
we gonna go.
My battery. I don't have my. I don't even have my charger plugged up, and my battery just said 10%. I thought I had a bunch of battery left, so we definitely.
We only got 2 games left.
Yeah, we sure do. Kansas City and Denver again. This is another game that I don't like. I know it's Kansas City, but Mahomes is priced up, and it's too many options. There's too many options for me to choose. For Kansas City, like Tyreek Hill may bomb and Kelsey may do great. Kelsey may bomb and Tyreek Hill may do great. They both may do great. They both may just do all right and they still win because Mecole Hardman may have 2 catches for 2 touchdowns for 150 yards because they 2 bombs. It's too much uncertainty with that offense. It's not enough consistency. Only thing that's consistent is Patrick Mahomes is probably going to play well. But again, there are other quarterbacks that are not as priced up as he is that could do the same stats. And Denver, there's no reason to even talk about Denver. And from an offensive perspective, they got a good defense. They actually playing decent football, but they don't really have anybody. Melvin Gordon. If I knew Melvin Gordon was getting all the touches again, then maybe him. But I don't know if he's going to get all the touches. I feel like he may be splitting some with Phillip Lindsay now.
Definitely, yeah. Watching that last game, definitely they're getting Phillip Lindsay getting his share of touches. So, I'm really staying away from everybody in this game. The only person that I like in this game, completely. Is Kelsey. I may have some shares of Kelsey. I know what you said about the inconsistency and just not guessing, but it seems like Kelsey always seems to have.
No, it's not inconsistency.
No, not
consistency.
No, not what.
That's
just no. That's probably a bad way to state it. It can go to anybody, but he always seems to get his share of targets. It's like if there's anybody that's guaranteed to get their share of targets for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to be Travis Kelce. You can almost guarantee he's going to get 4 or 5 targets a game or more, and he usually capitalizes on all of them. If he gets more than 4 or 5 targets, he's usually going to be a monster, and you need to have him to win some type of money. But other than Travis Kelce, I agree with you 100%. You just don't know where to go. I would like Sammy Watkins if he was playing. I don't think he's playing still again this week. But other than that, Kelce is all I like from this game.
Okay. And last game, Jacksonville versus the Clippers. Los Angeles Chargers. I like this game from the Chargers perspective. And I'll let you talk about the Jaguars. From the Chargers perspective, I like this game. I'm a little or Justin Jackson. They both gonna play. I just don't know which one to play, and they're both cheap. But what I love about this game is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is my favorite play. He's my favorite wide receiver play. And let me tell you why. I like Keenan Allen so much. because he got hurt. He had back spasm last game, so he only had 2 targets. But the game before that, 11 targets. Game before that, 19 targets. Game before that, 10 targets. And you know what? He's going to hit double-digit targets again this week. So he's being targeted like crazy by Justin Herbert. And in those games, he had 14 points, 34 points, and 16 points. So I'm all over Keenan Allen against a terrible Jacksonville defense that cannot stop anybody on the ground or in the air. So Mike Williams is not a bad play. Hunter Henry is not a bad play. May have some shares of them, but I am playing. I'm stacking this game. I'm definitely stacking this game with Chargers. I don't know how much I like playing. Well, you go ahead, Jacksonville. You got that.
Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out. Yeah, you can give your analysis on Jacksonville for sure. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, as far as this game goes, I love Mike Williams. I'm staying away from the running back situation for the Chargers. I don't love any Jaguars. I'm actually one of my defenses the defense that I was gonna pick. One of my top defenses this week is I like the Chargers defense. I really like the Chargers defense against the Jaguars. I don't like the Jaguars at all. Nobody.
Yeah. The Jaguars, if you pick the right person, you're going to capitalize because somebody on the Jaguars is going to put up points. The Jaguars themselves are not going to play well as a team, but Minshew is putting up points in the air. Like you could probably play Minshew and he could probably give you over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Minshew is putting up points in the air. Like you could probably play Minshew and he could probably give you over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they'll still lose by like 15 to 20 points. But the problem is are you gonna pick Keelan Cole? Are you gonna pick Laviska Shenault? Or are you gonna pick Chark? Like you don't know who to pick, and I'm not gambling with that. I don't think it's worth it when they got so many other good plays. But yeah, so that is all the games we have for this slate. I know we have a couple more games like throughout we have the Monday night game, Seattle and Arizona. That's gonna be a great game. Oh man, that's gonna be a good game.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we have the Monday night game. Who's playing Monday night? I don't have it up.
The Monday night game is going to be the Bears and Rams.
Bears and Rams. That's not going to be a fun game to watch. It's probably going to be a defensive game. Probably a good game, but not a fun game to watch. So before we get out of here, man, I got to tell you who's holding this L. Man, for me, it's a city. And that city is located in Georgia. Atlanta, that is. Now, you know what? I got to give it to the state because I got to go throw Georgia Tech in there. So, Georgia, let's talk. The Atlanta Falcons, we already know that they still holding the L. But then we go to Atlanta Braves, who was up 3-1 in the National League Championship Series, and they gave it up to the Dodgers. Welcome back. So we had some technical difficulties, everyone. Not really technical difficulties. Well, hold on. I'm not even recording right now. And we back recording. Hey, so it's crazy because my computer just died for all y'all out there. And when I went and got my battery and Kurt unturned my battery and Kurt unturned my computer back on, we're still recording. It was still moving. So it's like, I don't I mean, it was kind of amazing. But anyways, so what I was saying about Atlanta, and you know, they probably people in Atlanta or in Georgia probably like, yeah, it's good for you talking shit about us. But so Georgia Tech lost to Clemson. I think it was 73-7. The whole state of Georgia is catching L's right now. Like, how bad can you be? You know, I ain't even throwing the Atlanta Hawks in there because they just been a terrible franchise for the last, I don't know how many years. But, man, the state of Georgia, you got to hold this L. I know they got some teams in Georgia that's probably like, hey, we doing good. Guess what? You're not doing good enough because we don't know who you are. So, the major sports, the major franchises, y'all got to hold this L, the state of Georgia. I could give it to a couple of more teams.
I don't really have too many as far as holding this L.
Okay.
I mean,
well then let me go ahead and give a couple run-ups.
I'm gonna give you the floor on this one.
So the Washington shitballs, they can still hold this L. Why? Because they finally play a game where they can go into overtime and win. And with seconds left on the clock, like less than 5 seconds, they go for 2. A extra point would have tied it up. They scored the touchdown. They're down 22-23, I think it was, or 23-24, and they want to kick and they want to go for 2. And the play that they ran, oh my God, it was terrible, absolutely terrible. So you go for 2, and then you don't have a solid play to run. Washington shitballs again. That is the name. Shitbags. I'm sorry, I didn't change the name. All I know is shit is in the front because that's what they are, and that's how they play, and that's how solid play to run. Washington shitballs again. That is the name. Shitbags. I'm sorry, I didn't change the name. All I know is shit is in the front because that's what they are, and that's how they play, and that's how the organization is run. Another runner-up, second runner-up, a third runner-up, no, second runner-up, the Dallas Cowboys. So you didn't want to pay Dak his money. You thought that maybe he wasn't the guy that he feels he is. Well, now you know you're wrong. But not only that, Mike McCarthy was your hire. You didn't want to interview anybody else and give him a shot, Jerry Jones. Now look at your team. Players in the news talking about the coaches don't know what they're doing. Players in the news saying that the coaches don't know how to adjust on the fly. Players in the news saying they're just talking about the team. This is the worst Cowboys team of all the teams in the last 20 to 25 years that we've been talking about. This is the worst. Absolutely from top to bottom, not just because of the record, but because of the what's the word I'm looking for? Heck, I can't think of the word. The connection, whatever you want to call it. The Dallas Cowboys right now are a fragment of a team. They're terrible, absolutely terrible.
Very embarrassing, bro. It's terrible. It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
And my third runner-up, we talked about it a little bit with Miami Dolphins. Even though this may not be a L to hold per se, because if Tua comes out and kills it, then I have to take this L back. I just think it's not the best strategy to pull out Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's playing really, really well, who has a Miami Dolphins team who's expected not to do anything, who's sitting at 3-3, second in their division right now, to play Tua, who we know is probably going to be great, but it's not a need to play him right now. You know, if he ends up doing something like getting hurt or playing terrible, and now you're being forced to play Ryan Fitzpatrick because of that. Even though this is a third runner-up.
And it would be deservedly so. I got a quick question. Yeah. I cannot remember, but I'm reflecting back to last week. And I may have a candidate that very well deserves it, but I can't remember if we already gave it to it.
Go ahead.
Josh Norman?
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if we gave him an L.
You know, the world gave him an L. I don't know if we had to.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Like that was the ultimate.
Yeah, it
take this L. That
was pretty bad,
bro. Man, dang, Josh Norman, hold it, bro, hold it, man.
Anyways, that's all we got for today. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but it's all good. I'm Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie, man.
And this is Hold This L, and we out.
We out, baby. Y'all take it easy.